Good morning. It's January 25th, and it's time for our daily dose of good news, which is from Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 9. And I'm going to back up just a smidge to give you a little bit of context. We're going to learn about Abram today, later known as Abraham, one of the great ancestors of the faith. Now, these are the descendants of Terah. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his birth in Ur of the Chaldeans. Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no child. Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son's Abram's wife, and they went out together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, which is about halfway, they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Abram took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot, and all the possessions that they had gathered, and the persons whom they had acquired in Haran, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. When they had come to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At the time, the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he moved on to the hill country, on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord, and invoked the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on by stages towards the Negeb. Here ends the reading. So, 3 things I'd like to point out about this text. First of all, that it sounds like Abram and his father had left Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan, had gotten to about the halfway point and stopped there and lived there. And then the Lord appears to Abram and beckons him on, as if you've gone part of the way. And it doesn't say whether Terah, his father, was told by the Lord to go to the land of Canaan, simply that they had started out to head there and then stopped at Haran halfway. But the fact that then the Lord calls to Abram at that point, and says, "Keep coming. You haven't gotten yet to the place that I want to show you, that I'm going to give you and to your offspring, to all these nations that come from you." And Abram, shockingly, goes. He doesn't sit down with God and say, "Now listen, let me explain to you the reality of how things are. Sarah's barren, and so Sarai's not going to have any children, and so this idea that I'm going to have nations is really out of the question." He doesn't say that to God. And nor does he hesitate. He has all of his family with him at this point in Haran. That's where he's lived for years. That's where he's comfortable. And yet God calls him out of his comfort zone into the land of this unknown and says, "Come on and let me show you this." And I think about how it's so easy to stay in our comfort zones and to venture out into something which looks new and different can be uncomfortable. Yet the land that the Lord showed Abram, we know the land of Canaan was beautiful, and they describe it later as being the land that flows with milk and honey. So one aspect to think about is to think about how God might be calling you out of your comfort zone into something which looks different. So as a physical representation of this, I came outside today, put on a coat, and came out to a different part of the yard where there's something beautiful behind me, which is lovely to look at and beautiful, probably like Canaan was. But it called me out of the comfort zone of my house, which was warm and had a coffee there for me. But yet, sometimes God calls us to something different. So that's the first point. Second quick point is this is the first of 3 stories where God calls a patriarch to go somewhere. So he starts with Abram, and then in Genesis 26, he talks to Abram's son, who is Isaac, and says to Isaac, "Don't go down to Egypt, settle in the land that I'll show you, reside in this land, and I will be with you and bless this for you and all your descendants. And I'll make all your offspring numerous like the stars." So there's sort of a repeat. There's a second component of this. And likewise, there's a similar component of Isaac's wife, Rebecca, is barren at this point too. And the Lord blesses her and she has children. So it's a little bit of deja vu of Abram and Sarai's story of the barrenness and being shown the land repeats again with Isaac and his wife Rebecca and her being barren, and then Isaac being told, go to this area. And then a third time it happens with Isaac's son, Jacob, who becomes named Israel, that he is also told, I am the Lord, I will make of you a great nation, go to Egypt. So there's a third time of God directing where to go, where to live, for father to son to grandson. And I thought that's so intriguing how there's this repeat of some of these patterns, and that is a pattern. And so I just wanted to encourage you to talk with your parents if they are still alive, or talk with your children about, this is what I have felt like God has called me to in my life, or what God has shown me, or what God has said to me, or where I felt nudged by God. And have a conversation about it and just see if there's any patterns. Maybe there's things that God told your parents or seemed to convey to your parents in some way, shape, or form that are similar to something you're doing in your life. Or maybe something in your life is something that will eventually happen in some way, shape, or form, or be continued in your kids' lives or in your grandkids' lives. So I just wanted to encourage you to kind of think about that and consider it. And the third point that I wanted to make was just the idea that we're called wherever we're called. And like Abram, can we just trust even in the midst of it? And I know right now it's hard with the pandemic of, we're called to this for right now. We're called to this staying at home and staying apart and this quiet, reflective time. And just to invite God to use this time in this space, in this place as well in your lives. So, lots to think about. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.